Good morning, everyone. Bos días a todos que estamos en Galicia. I am María Jesús Movilla, the coordinator of the Erasmus Plus BAM project in the University of Coruña. Today, we are holding the second BAM Multiplier event, both online and in person. First, I would like to welcome those attending in person here in the Faculty of Nursing and Podiatry, and thank the Dean of the Faculty, Mr. Pedro Gil, for his support in preparing this event. Thank you so much. We are also joined by the President of the Professional Association of Nurses of A Coruña, Mr. Alamillo Castro. Thank you so much for your presence. From the Teacher Training Center in Ferrol, we are joined by Ms. Lucía Penabaz Otero. Thank you very much for your attendance. From the Tirso de Molina School and Primary and Secondary School, we are joined by teachers Carlos and Alejandra, who have been collaborating with us on this Erasmus Plus project over the past few months. I would like to greet the active members of BAM project at the University of A Coruña, Eugenia, Pablo, Manuel, José Antonio, Pilar, Ana, Sara, Valentín, Emma, for their work in this project, and of course, especially for the company and for the good moments for these years. And to welcome the other attendees, fellow teachers from the Faculty of Nursing and Podiatry at UDC and administrative staff from the Ferrol Industrial Campus. For BAM members, greetings to teachers and students from Turkey, Greece, Italy, Germany, and Serbia. We have prepared this multiplier event to achieve the objective we committed to the project. It will be organized by university academics to evaluate the fight against peer bullying from an academic perspective and to promote and evaluate the project outputs. To achieve this goal, we are honored today by the presence of Professor Rosario del Rey Alamillo from the University of Sevilla in Spain. She is a nationally and internationally renowned professor and researcher, full professor of the Department of Developmental and Educational Psychology, co-president of the International Observatory of Violence in School. She leads the research group Interpersonal Aggression and Socio-Emotional Development, and this group is dedicated to the understanding of the quality of interpersonal relationships and the personal development of children, adolescents, and young people. She has a long history in research on peer and dating risks, such as bullying, cyberbullying, sexting, sexual harassment, dating violence, and cyber dating violence. She has experience in the design, development, and evaluation of psychoeducational programs to address this type of problems, as well as identify the keys to modify it. Today, she will give a lecture with the title, "The Complexity of Bullying from Detection to Educational Practice." The summary of this presentation is that bullying has evolved from an invisible problem to a highly recognized social issue. Over the past few decades, significant progress has been made in its definition, prevention, and intervention. However, it remains necessary to enhance the understanding of this complex problem of school violence, which has also extended into virtual relationships. This conference aims to analyze important elements such as the processes of victimization, the subjectivity of repetition, and the differentiation between intentionality and awareness of harm, among others, which will support the identification of evidence-based practice and effective approaches, including those developed within this European project. And now is the turn of Dr. Del Rio. I would like to remember the participants that when the conference will be finished, we will have 5 or 10 minutes to do answer or to express doubt about the presentation. And here in person, of course, no, only with the hand, and in the online with using the chat. Okay? And now, when you want.
Good morning, and thank you very much for the invitation. It's really an honor to be just not only on the European project focused on bullying, but also to be here in Coruña, in this university, this fantastic research group. But also, I would like to pay attention of a project in which the student, the families, and teacher has been implicated, because as I'm trying to share with you today, is that really is a complexity phenomenon, and we need to listen all of the protagonists in that, not only to have a better comprehension of the phenomenon, but also to try to find the keys to how to prevent and to intervene with that. So first, I would like to show you that really, I'm just, I am only one person of my research group. We are just working for a lot of years, focusing on mainly in bullying, what nobody talk about that, but we are a lot of people, so I would like to share with them all of the things, because all of my funding is not my funding really, is our funding, and we are a lot of people working in different focuses on the phenomenon and related phenomenon of that. So, as I said before, really, I started to work about bullying in the last, in the medium of the 90s. So it was so difficult because nobody really believes that in Spain, children fight in that way, in this so criminal way and so damaged way. So it was so difficult at the beginning of the studies, because no any school let us to ask for the students. So we start, not only in Spain, but the rest of Europe, less Norway, start to study the phenomenon in very difficult school, different environments, because we link the bullying with socio-economical and cultural level. However, everything has changed in 30 years. So now, we can see a lot of information, a lot of awareness about how bullying is a very horrible problem. It's like an epidemic in our school. And it's not really true. So we have bullying is a very, very difficult and complex problem with very bad consequences for the student, but it's not a problem that affects all of the students, because if not, I would put out my children from the schools, because the school really are protective contexts. So what I try to show you today is that really we have some children that have very, very bad consequences of bullying, but it's not for all of the students, and even it's not for all of the victims of bullying. So please, the main things I would like to share with you, there are some boys and girls that, they have bad ideas about their quality of life, but it's not for all of them, even not for all of the victims. So the first thing I would like to show you about what about the definition is, we say that 30 years ago there is no bullying in our school, and now if one boy arrives at home and say, "Mom, today something hits me for anything," and the mother say, "Okay, my child is a victim of bullying," so it's not possible of that. So be careful that some behavior problems, some even aggressive behavior, are not all of them bullying. And this is the first thing I would like to say. So there are a lot of conflicts, and this is natural. In all of the relationship, have conflict is a good point. Bad point is to solve this conflict in a fighting or violent way. So when you have a conflict with someone, you realize that maybe your link with this person was different than they was just having in mind, or even you realize that really you have another expectation or you have another interest. This is, a development of the nature of each person. So if I realize this girl is not really my best friend, it's very hard for me emotionally, but it's a learning, because in the future I will be, have well-being related to have in mind that what is the link with each person. Another type of problem behavior, or even aggressive behavior from the point of view of teacher, should be that when some students have bad behavior, but because they don't have any motivation for the learning. So I call them like the creative people, because you are start at the school in the classroom during 5 hours per day, and if you can't understand anything that people is saying, you don't feel that you are competent, self-competent to do anything, at the end of the day, you are boring. If you are boring, you start to talk with the other, you start to imagine anyway, and sometimes, and of course, you let your attention of the lectures. So sometimes teacher understand bad behavior, aggressive behavior, when really the origin, the motivation of the bad behavior is really the lack of motivation for learning. So, and the answer need to be different. It's, the answer is not the same for someone that has a lack of motivation for learning that someone that have bad intention to damage another person. Indiscipline is another problem related with bullying, but it's no, really not bullying. It's when student, but not only student, but also teacher, families, so they don't respect the rules. But something that is needed to pay attention is why people don't respect the rules, because sometimes is that a lot of people say, it's obvious. They need to respect that. They say, why is obvious? But, our school today is another totally different school that what was my school when I was a student. So we need to listen. We need to make pedagogical to explain why is the sense of rules. And after that, they need to respect that rules. Sometimes people don't respect the rule because they want to say, I don't understand that, I no agree, I disagree with that. If you disagree, maybe you can't understand what was the origin, what is the reason. So sometimes we need to pay attention and to be more pedagogical, not only with the student, but also with families. I don't know in the rest of your countries, but at least in Spain, we are living a stage of the history where families and teachers sometimes don't go join for the same aim. So we need to listen families, but teach families what is the best for their child, what is not always what they say or they think what is perfect for them. And of course, there are some events of interpersonal violence. Sometimes there is a fighting outside the school. Sometimes there is, a conflict solving in a violent way. But not all of the violence in the school is bullying. We have material vandalism, which is not interpersonal, but also we have sporadic violence, which is not bullying. So to have the concept and to try to pay attention of the nature of bullying is to try to have in mind what is obvious, so how the relationship among peers going on. Because it's not the same what I expect from my teacher, it's not the same what I expect for my mother, my father, or even my brother or sister. I expect different things from my peers, even if nobody say what is the expectation among us. So we know from a lot of years ago that really when you feel you are part of a team, of a group, you expect from the other at least three things. One, the reciprocity. If you don't want I to do anything, please don't give me to me. It's and another is equality. We have the same right and the same obligation. But also there is something that I have the right to feel part of the group. So something that don't respect this general law of relationship among peers can be interpreted for the student that they are doing bad things and even violence for me. And sometimes adults, we can't understand. They don't want to be with you in the group, go out to another group. No, it's not easy. It's, it's the psychological function and links among the student. So school violence has different classification. There is not a very exhaustive one, but it's just to try to show you, or to explain you different categories inside school violence or interpersonal school violence. So the relationship can be horizontal or vertical. Horizontal is among peers, among teachers, among families. And vertical is, in the another direction is from student to teacher, from teacher to student, from family to teacher, and so on. But one point in the difference of school violence is the persistence, and it's not something objective, like engineering. Sometimes we lie. It's like, I perceive that this thing is happening to me a lot, and during a lot of times. So it's not the same that someday somebody agrees me, that I feel every day, every week, all the time that anyone do something for that. So what is bullying? It could be cyberbullying, depending on the context. So horizontal and persistent school violence. So it's only a type of school violence. But it's not easy, so easy to say, okay, how many times? 10 times, okay, during 3 months, okay, and it's amount of periods, it's bullying. So no, we need more. We need more is because sometimes adults, when we have a violence event, we try to focus just first on the aggressor of perpetrators and say, this is the first mistake to cope with the problem. First, we need to repair, listen, attend to the victim. This is the main point to be distinguished about in-depth discipline, about conflict resolution, and so on. Because bullying goes against someone that is measured, and even this person feels that she or he can do anything to go out of that. So first, let's go to pay attention first for victim, and after that, we would say, okay, I want to punish or educative or whatever to the aggressor. But it's not enough. It's not enough. Why? Because bullying is a psychosocial phenomenon. What means psychosocial phenomenon? That means that aggressor never aggressive to the victim without bystander, because the intention of aggressor is not to match it. The aggression of intention of the aggressor, is to get something from the group. Attention, love, links, whatever. So aggressor, perpetrator can understand the damage on the victim, but this is like a collateral damage. This is not the first intention. So something important for the comprehension is just to focus not only on the knowledge or the theory of mind about the knowledge, what is the other person is thinking or is feeling, is try to go of the moral engagement about the motivation of our behavior. So how this, psychosocial phenomenon is maintaining over the time? Why? There are at least 2 main laws, we say, laws about the phenomenon. One is silence. Because all of the peers are bad person? No, because it's the main rules of the group. If something happens inside the group, we all of the members think that this problem had to be solved inside the group, not outside the group. So it's needed to get awareness about that it's not to be, bad member of the group. Is when someone is suffering a lot, we need to close, these rules about the membership in the group. Another thing is the dominance-submission link. Previously, I said that the relationship among the peers are equally, reciprocity and so on. However, this is not really like that, exactly like that. In our relationship, even in a convivencia classroom, each day relationship, we let to the other some powers. And another, one person may more than the other. We can understand why among some students, one girl, for instance, can decide today we are going to play anywhere, to that, for example. And the other say, okay, why? Because she said it. But if I would say, I say, no, this is so boring, I can let you, So what's happening in the equal relationship? That is not really equal. So there are some processes in which the group let more powers on some people from the other. And these people can use this power in a positive or in a negative way. So the key of the understanding is not the aggressive behavior. The key is not the suffering victim. The key are the bystander. So this is what we call like social structure of the phenomenon. So all of the bystanders, we are always the same? We do always the same? Not. So there are a lot of types of bystander, which is, from the, even sometimes there are some bystander, they are the promoter of the aggressive behavior sometimes. They say, have you seen how that girl look you? And give energy to the other person to make the aggression. So, and we have just a spectrum until the person that really help spontaneously to the victim and offer the helping. So what happened that sometimes victim, even with a support to say, defend the person, say, do you need help? I can help you. And the victim saying, I don't need you. I don't need you. So the other say, okay, it's your problem, it's not my problem, I go out. This is one problem. Victim really feel guilty of what is happening to them. So victim, they are ashamed about what they are happening. So we need to listen, we need to offer help, but we need to have in mind that sometimes they don't want the help because they want to protect, for instance, their families about the knowledge that what they are suffering. So even the worst cases, and when they leave later, they say, I try to protect my sister and brother, my families of this very, very damage that we are suffering that. So just some points about that there is not enough the definition, so we need some keys for that. So it's important to understand the processes of cyber victimization or victimization, because sometimes you say, it's impossible that person is a victim, she's assertive, she's, so happiness, so it's a very good person. And say, okay, the bullying is dependent of the link with the person. So one person is similar to the domestic violence. They say, this woman can be a victim. She's fighting a lot in her job. You say, this is not, it's the same person, have different links. So we need to understand how one person let power and let, even feeling and so on to another person. Another problem is the reiteration. Sometimes, I don't know, in your countries, but in our countries, we have a specific protocol, and teachers say, okay, how many times had to be? 4, 10, 100? And say, it's not really an objective number. It's really a feeling. This is some complexity in the administrative processes. So it's a feel that always is happening to me. It's really someone needs to listen to me to try to understand how it's going to the processes. Another thing is about the intentionality and the awareness of harm. So it's not the intention, it's an action with intention, which is not, without intention, but the intention is different of damage. So this is a very important thing, because sometimes we focus, have you seen the damage? I just say, yeah, I see it, but it's not my problem. So I disconnect with moral disagreements. So you need to find another way to get what you are getting from the group with this type of behavior. So another thing is the inability to get out or on. So sometimes, I have a lot of discussion, but I have the assertiveness, I have the social abilities, or even the emotional abilities. Say, I don't mind, it's bad for me, I'm worried about that, but I can still with my life. So this is bullying. Sometimes it's a bullying sporadic event, but it's not going to go on because I have the coping strategy, I have the peace support or families or whatever. So don't worry. Sometimes it's a process in the life. It's a bad event or a bad processes during some time that we need to pay attention, but this not always go to a very bad final for the quality of life. Another point is sometimes, or a lot of times, victims feel that their aggressor are their friends. And this is a very focused thing, because families say, you can see, I don't let you to be with that girls. And the victims go with that girls again, go with that groups again. Why? the answer can be don't go with them, because if she go or he go with them, it's because she or he feel that it's the group of reference. So we need to work about to realize what is a friend, realize what is a really a good colleague, and so on. But don't say don't do that, because as you say, children and adolescents, if you say don't do, they are going to try to do it. It's just only for their cognitive development. So, two important prevalence or predictors variable are related with the need of popularity. They do a lot of things because they need to get popularity in the group. And another point is they feel there are a lot of pressure from the external and even from the internal things. I think I need to be that to people, have some idea about who I am. Sorry, I can do it. Okay, so just to go deeply with that, is today we can't focus on bullying. We have to have in mind what is cyberbullying. The data say that there is few events of cyberbullying without traditional bullying connections. So it's true that there is the debate about what happened in the school when there is a cyberbullying event. At least in Spain, the regulations say that the school is not guilty, but it's responsible to cope with that. So social networks are not only environmental, a physical, hypothetical environment. It's a context of development. What means what is a context that is in that way, so far away that say explain something. In that way they feel, in that way they relax, in that way they gain. And do a lot of things. Even the research said today that we have, the adolescents and minors have more time with peers, with ICT instead of face-to-face, which is one of the problems that we have for the quality of life. So what's happening and why is more complicated, the cyberbullying events, even than the bullying events? Because the communication is different. Because social networks are private companies. When you go to the school, it's a protective context. When you go to a street, you are in a country with social service that can help you, and even the other people can help you. However, social network is private. If you have a company, you want to get money, of course. And how social network get money? They get money with more interaction. They get money with, with more activities. So how is that contest? The contest tries to, give you the motivation to be more connected, to be more active in that way. So it's not a natural context. It's not a protected context. It's a risk context for the interaction, because people can understand that, for instance, if I open in a new social network and say, yes, all of the contract, because they ask us a lot of things. And one thing is, do you want to send you a message to all of your contacts? Say, yes. And people can understand that I personally a message for them, but it's not me. It's just the platform. So sometimes people can think that someone sent to them an email, and it's not true. It's the machine. So this is the most complicity things. Also, because they say that they have the possibility to be another person, which is, is fantastic. I have, my private secret thinkings about what I would like to do, I would like to be, I would like to, and, if you think in your previous adolescence, you say, I would like, I never do, mainly. However, they can do now. They do, and they show them the best part of that. And this is, it's a cycle. They say that they realize that people show only the best thing, even the not real best thing, but this information pressures me to be a person like that. So we know that it's not true, but we are developing about that. Even it's so, sometimes we are so tired. Why this person are the whole day in which restaurant, with which person, with a lot of money, a lot of, enjoy situation. But however, we know that it's not really true. And even we have mental health problems, just to say people that what I need to be thinking to be a good person or to be a leader. And it's like, you know, it's cognitive and emotional, so disgusting. Another thing is that the privacy has changed. So everything needs to be public. And the impact is different. So when we are in a private, you know, thing in your family, whatever, or whatever side your family, when you arrive at home, you say, I relax. If I make a mistake at home, it's different if I make a mistake here. I'm the same person, it's the same mistake, but you know, my child, my husband, let me say, okay, you are tired, or tomorrow you are going to make me another thing. So, however, what I do, you know, the consequence of I do in a public, in a privacy environment is totally different. So be careful with that, not only for child, for a student and adolescent, but also for families. You know, that we have the phenomenon of sharenting, and what happened with the behavior of families that show their child all the time and in different situations. So cyberbullying is a type of bullying, but have a specific characteristics. You know, the possibility to be public and private, the possibility of anonymity. However, at least in the Spanish data, the majority of the cases, they know who is the person. The 24/7, this is one of the main characteristics that is, you know, is worse for the victim, because, you know, with bullying events, at least you have time at home and say, I protect it. However, with cyberbullying, with cyber environment, people is, you know, is the imagine that what they are saying, you know, why they are doing, even if there is no aggressive behavior, victim is still thinking maybe they are doing something, maybe they are, say, it's more damage for that. Also, not always are among peers. It's important to have in mind that, you know, we have another aggressive behavior in environment that is not really cyberbullying, because we don't know if it's in the same among equals. But we have also common characteristics. Only to have some points about what we said previously about not all of the bullying situation is going to stay for the whole time, you know, for the whole year. So we have very, very bad events. So we make a longitudinal study about to say, okay, let's go to understand what happened in the life of one victim today, who is still to be victim 1 year later, because we know the consequence as very, very, very worse. So, and in this case, we analyzed the more emotional variables. One was the need of popularity. So victim that would like to be more popularity and do behavior to get popularity, they are still more in risk to be that. But what is more important for me in that case is about the emotional impact. So people who have more worse emotional impact of the events of the victimization has higher probability to still in this situation. So it's not say that victim is guilty, it's where and how we can help victim to cope with the situation. So sometimes families say, my child is victim, and they are still for the whole day, for the whole weeks, for the 4 months, going around about the bullying events. So we know that this is worse for the victim, because we need to let them to be more resilient. They need to help them to use coping strategy more successful. So it's, I can understand the damage, let's go to regulate the damage, and let's go to find good strategy, coping strategy for that. But also there is another cases that say, okay, you were victim and you were successful and you don't still to be victim. Which are the variables, some of the variables? In two different cases. First is to feel functional helping, and this is so important. Peers and for the families. One point is that the school has the support system, and another thing is that the student believe this is a good support system. Because sometimes they say, is what worse when the teacher going, because they go to the classroom and say, so depend of the strategy of teacher, the student, the victim believe what is the functional answer of that. So listen about the contextual functionality of the strategy is so important. And also the peers, some peers are, you need to do that because I don't mind if they insult me. I say, you don't mind, but to me it's a problem. So please try to, to understand my feeling, because we are different people. So this is one important point, to offer useful help for the victim. And on the top down, you have self-awareness and responsibility taking decision. We can do another things, which is, let's go to get awareness as the result in the BAM project about, let's go to get awareness about the problem. It's not regular in the peer relationship, the bullying, it's not a game, so this is necessary, but also it's necessary to help students to take good decision. Not only with violence, we need to training, take decision, positive decision, analyze decision, and we know that this helps even for the bullying events and bullying situation. Another point is a type of bullying and cyberbullying, which is a stigma. Sorry, I couldn't translate that, but this, what I want to show you here is sometimes adults, we are the risk factor for the stigma bullying and cyberbullying. And here is like something which is usually, when my son went to the school, and how was the school today? And it was very nice. There's something different. I say, different? Why? And the son say, we are all of difference, because if not, what happened with their parents if we will be the same person? So what I would like to say to you is sometimes adults, without any bad intention, provoke and put higher risk to sometimes of the aggression. About that, I would like to show you what are the 4 groups with more probability to be victim here. The most risk group is overweight. So the overweight people, which 20 years ago, overweight was one thing, and now overweight is another thing. So sometimes people can say, I am overweight, and say, So it's not a health index, it's a perception of depression, social depression. Another is ethnic and cultural minority, sexual and gender identity, and minors with disability. In the group of disabilities, have more risk the not visible disabilities. For instance, down, we can adjust more our expectation with this person. But for instance, with autism or Asperger, it's more difficult because I can see you, that you are different, or you have another functional action. So are more in risk with is not visible, the disability. In that respect, I would like to give you some point for thinking, where is the vulnerability? There is no in the victim. Sometimes it's because I am, no. It's because the other thing that what I am is worse than other things. So here, sometimes in this type, we try to develop ability of the victim, which is true, is good. But it's not enough. This is not the main focus of the problem. The main focus is the group, is the families, is the society. So the prevention and even the intervention need to be in the group more than in the victim, but also with the victim. Only to say you another form of cyberviolence that now is with affecting minors and adolescents is with the sexting, the sharing of sexual images. The level of the prevalence is horrible, at least in the international studies and even in the Spanish studies. Other is cyber hate, which the last study that we have, what was horrible for me, the funding, is that there are a lot of students in minor that look, intentionally this material, which led us, some knowledge which is very bad about the normalization of the violence. And another problem is the grooming, that we don't realize really even with minors. We let them, all of the screens, and we didn't realize that they play with peers. No, they play with apparently peers. Even we have sentimental couples with 20 years old, and he says, it's Pablo. And Pablo is Pablo 13, but really is Pablo 40. So be careful with that. We need to get awareness, allow, who is the other person, and don't be in contact physically, face to face with that person. Because, bad people have more time, have more intention, have more motivation to do that. Why I say to you another problem of cyberviolence? Because we need today that it's important to know its phenomenon, but it's important to do a person-focused analysis. What means person-focused analysis? That we have students implicated not only in cyberbullying, not only in bullying, but not only in dating violence, not only. So what you can see here is that near 10% of the students are implicated in all of the problems about we ask them. So also we know that, as we showed you before, that you can have this problem and in 3 months you can be solving. But the thing is, we need to talk more about the normalization of violence. Just to finalize, I would like to show you really that I am from educational psychology, so we made a lot of basic research, but always focusing in how we can change the reality, how we can help students. And I show you here 2 programs that we are, offering in the Andalusia government that is for, for all of the schools in Andalusia. One is CONRED, that is working on bullying and cyberbullying, and other is ARA, which is peer support, digital peer support student. So I'm going to show you just sometimes the process, because sometimes schools say, oh, this is very good program. And I ask, why is very good program? This is funny. It's okay that people enjoy at school, but it's not enough. If we want to prevent, if we want to cope with that, we need to go where is the research evidence about that this is good for what we are saying. So I would like to show you just this case, because CONRED program was designed a lot of years ago with European funding, with a lot of universities from the whole of Europe, just with the question of what we are doing to prevent and to cope with bullying is useful to prevent also cyberbullying. So we found very good result with that, but was European project, not like this one, was the good funding European project, which means that we have specific people just training in each school, in each classroom. So we get a very good result. It was so expensive. So but our worry was if we have, all of the control and it's effective, what happened with the rest of the school? Because, you are lucky school because we were selected, but what happened with the other schools? So we were, during 1 year with the government, Andalusia government, just to try to adapt this so-control program for the generation of the program. And we was working with more than 60 schools. In each school there were a team. In the team was teacher, counselor, parents, and a student. So each 2 weeks, we training them with some of the first section, go to their school, and came back to say, this is no, one teacher don't want to do this another teacher. No. So we designed 225 versions for primary and 16 versions for secondary. And the version have, depending of if you are comfortable talking about feeling or not, if you are comfortable doing a group activity or not. So what is important is at least do what you feel you are competent. So at least you do that. So I think it was very nice. And for me, it's very important program because we have 3 different political parties and still the program. So we have a lot of training in Andalusia and CONRED is still there. And each year are training more than 1,000 of teachers to develop that. So And another program that we have, this is, we have evidence of peer support system and effectively to prevent bullying, and we don't have evidence about what happened with digital environment. But the government asks for us that they have a need. Yes, we don't make evidence before. We are going to do the evidence during the process and that, but it was how we are going to select students to training there, how to training to their peers. Because we know that talking about the digital environment, the adult, we are no reference. We don't understand, we don't have the convention meaning, we are not a reference. So the way is training, give materials to some peers, and to go with peers in the process of they teach and they help their peers. So just going to see some different material for the training, not only for the ICT, but also for gender perspective, emotional. And for instance, we know really empathy. One person can be, have a high level of empathy face-to-face, but not in the virtual environment. So how we can develop a specific empathy and a specific social development in the web. Another thing is that we have specific resources for teacher and family and for the student, for instance, for the prevention on school basis school bullying. And just to finalize, I would like to my major felicitation for all of the material that all of the team have done in the project. And I would like to say just what was my perception of the material. And I think it's so important, the contribution to the awareness raising campaign. I think it's important to have not only in English, but also in each language, but also to have the participation of the student. I think we can do anything without their perspective, and give them back their, the protagonists to be the actor and to be on the screen is so important. I think it was a very good point to give different final of the history. Did give a message that we can do a lot of things to change. And it's so important because we know that one victim can be still being victim or not, depending on what happened during the process. So give in the awareness campaign different finals, different ending is to shape to students, families, and teachers that we can do a lot of things to change the final, which is very, very good point. Also, was very, very positive for me, my perception, the inclusion of different participation. So this is not a problem of the child, there is no problem of the teacher, there is no problem of families, it's a whole school approach which is needed. So it's very nice to have different point of view and the perception of each protagonist in the phenomenon. And also, for me, it was so important to realize that you also include the consequence of our acts, even when I didn't realize the consequence. Because sometimes I say, it's just joking, I don't mind, it's not my friend. But at the end, you can, with your material, you can realize that really the final for the other person can be totally different what I can expect it, or even you don't worry what will happen. Also, I would like to give you, just from, just my personal point of view, something keys to make a more important impact of your resources. Because sometimes if we have virtual materials and just send to the people, can be not enough. As educational psychology, I think we need to go with them, working with them to give support, what we're going to say, and where we would like to put attention. So I think it's so important to support this campaign with teacher training, with teacher support, with the student, and try to realize with them that it's not possible to justify violence. I need to see that sometimes violence is used to cope with any problem, but we need to be so radical and so explicit that violence never is justified. Another thing is to be careful with blaming the victim. Sometimes we are different people, as we said before. She needs to do like that. Okay, but maybe she doesn't have the ability, maybe she didn't realize, maybe she believed the self-confidence to do that, and so on. So It's important to understand, but it's important to help them to do it. And help them not only to the victim, help them also to the aggressor. Aggressors are minors. So minors need to have consequence of their act, but we know that they are violent because they need another things. If we don't give them what they need, feel of security, feel, they are loved, attachment, secure attachment, and so on, they are going to still doing that because they need something. They need to say something that they are bad. So we need to help all of them in different ways, but we need to help them emotionally, even sometimes clinically. And another thing, just to finalize, is that no action is not always intentional. What means that? Sometimes students that they are part of the group, they have their culture, they know everything among the group, and can say to the teacher, go around, I don't say nothing. I say, he's singing, and he doesn't do anything. I say, okay, he didn't realize that this event is so important, so be careful, because sometimes our perception is different of the perception of other person in the same situation, because our expertise is different. I always say, because I have child men and they love football, when I, in front of a TV, I see a lot of boys running and running with very strange hair. However, my son's saying, they are doing a 3, 4, 5 strategy. We are watching the same, but we are seeing different things. So our interpretation, our action is going to be different. So it's not something so simple that he's doing, he don't do anything because he's a bad person. It's maybe we need to training, get awareness, educative their perception to see what is happening. Because sometimes a lot of things happens in front of us and we didn't see that. So I would like to finish with my felicitation, congratulations to the project, and thank you very much for your attention.
These programs that
Espera. Wait.
So for me, it was quite impressive, the programs you mentioned, but also I want to address that they have been supported by the regional government, by the Junta de Andalucía, which I think is really what we need from universities, from schools, to our politicians, to make it possible that everyone in our societies could enjoy these programs. So I want to ask you a little bit about this process. How did you manage to get involved the government of Andalusia?
It's complicated. For me, the key is don't ask for money. Sometimes we put the attention that money and get money for all of the administrative processes. It's so complicated. So I get a personal agreement, because sometimes if they have a problem, they call me, please, I have that. No, because there is not a lot of high competence. So I help them and they help me. And first, they help me each time that I have, for instance, now we are collecting data and we have more than 5,000 of students and families and teachers. As a researcher, I need people. I need people that help me. I need a school that let me to go in during 1 year, go, each week, which is the school, we are foreign people in the school. So it's like a reciprocity. I need to understand, so I need people. I need all of the permission to be inside, which is complicated, and they need me. So, but I do the same way, for instance, with the police. I teach in the university, in the master, one subject is about social network, and another is about school violence. And in the past, I asked to my students to do eventual materials. But now, there is a program of the policy, and I say, do you want materials? I go for free, because as a teacher, as a professor, I need my time to teach my student. So I would prefer they use real situation than hypothetical situation. So I think the key is when people realize that you don't want anything from them, that you won't join. So it's better for my student to work with real problem and with real professional. And my time is dedicated to my students, so I don't need money from them. So this is the beginning. This is why, for instance, nowadays the government pay, not for me, but pay for the teacher, which mainly is people from my team, but now sometimes it's teachers that have been implicated in that. So nowadays, I don't get any money. When I get money for that, for instance, Conred starts just only with a version for the student. And each year, a teacher and a school asks for more. For instance, the first version has just some indication to work with families. But after that, they want, I need all of the material, I need the training to work with family. So now we have the component of Conred families. So they asked me, and we made that. Also, another year, there was the demand of, I have, a lot of disability students, and they can use that. So another year, we made the inclusive Conred program. For that, I don't get money. Why? Because I asked for all of the specific group, and all of us we do for free. Because, people with problema de conducta, behavior problem, or each group want to give their knowledge, which is more than my knowledge. I don't know that knowledge, and we do that material. So sometimes we have a minor contract, another time we don't have anything, but I think it's win-win relationship. And another thing is the technical people don't change the party in 3 different times, but don't change the technical people. And I think it's so difficult to delete a program that is well known among the school. I think I'm also lucky.
Thank you.
You too.
So thank you, first of all, for your conference, especially for those who don't really belong to that field. It was very clear and everything was easy to follow, but maybe because of my misunderstanding, I have a question. I do understand that the face-to-face or in-person bullying has a relation with the social fitting, let's say. You mentioned that the group was very important. But what about cyberbullying? If they do, I don't know, if they send private direct message to Instagram or social media like that, and the peers, the colleagues or the friends, they're not with them because it's 24/7. So if they send those bad messages at night, what's the social recognition that they receive? Why do they do it? What's the reason?
Because they share.
Oh, okay.
Look what I said, look what she said.
Okay.
One problem in that way is we ask to them, it's a control question, it's about you are in midnight and you have a big problem with your mom at home. What do you do? I say, I tell to who was connected. And who was connected usually is not my best friend. Usually it's not the person who has more control at home and support at home. Yeah.
One question, one more, and finish.
Okay, thank you for your talk. It was very interesting, and I would like to ask. Well, in your presentation, you said about the self-awareness to work with the students. So, what strategies are good to work with the young people?
difficult enough. Yeah, but just a summary of my personal strategy is I didn't show you another program that I made in another program, and it's free on my website, which is Asegúrate, which was to work all of the cyber problem. You know, because you arrive to school and say, I'm going to show you about social networks. You know, they ask you, they work hard when you were young or something like that. So we are not the reference. One point is we need young people. You need to train in young people. You know, sometimes, yeah, really, I know that there is some points that is better that I don't do, okay? Another thing is go from farther to near. Usually, in this program, we have an instructional sequence, about 5 steps, and the first was trending topic. The call of the activity is trending topic, and it's what people do in that situation, and they start to talk. You know, they talk everything, because it's about the people. And after that, they say, I like, don't like. They say, I agree, I disagree. In which situation I could do? You know, after, with post-effect, why people do? Because they get, you would like to have that. So we have, you know, we are psychology, and we try to work self-cognitive regulation of the mental, you know, when you take decision. So this is a procedimental competence, so we can train in that. How we train that? With the instructional, you know, sequence that say, first, people do and go near. So at the end of the day, you say, oh, I would do that, because they discover. So I think this is is more difficult, is more time needed, but I think it's more effective.
Thank you so much. I think this presentation with Dr. Del Rio was a very good activity to finish this project, and I hope attendants here in the classroom and in online enjoy the presentation. And thank you so much.
Thank you to you.
It's the first time, but I hope not the last time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you to all of you.
And now I would like to say goodbye and see you soon, the partners from Turkey, from Italy, Serbia, Greece, and of course see you soon in Taranto in July, and I hope this activity has been very good for all of us. Thank you so much, see you soon.